lot of big players like myself in these markets for a lot of time. People that have deep pockets and are investing a lot of money.
A lot of competition on the wholesale side.
Yes.
Okay.
Like on every side, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And also, I would say more educated sellers, 100%.
That was a thing I was considering or thinking about. Like, why do you think they're more educated? What's the difference?
Florida is a very special market. We all know, like the market went up so strong here compared to the entire nation. So I think there's a lot of talk around real estate. Even
Yeah.
with, let's say, the lower income families, they're gonna, oh, this guy just sold this property for 300,000. We bought it 50 grand in
Yeah.
50 like 2 years ago. So I think people are opening Zillow. Like also in Cleveland, let's face it, like 90% of the people will open Zillow and have a kind of estimate or ballpark. But in Florida, I think it's even stronger. People are just, they know better.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I think you're right. There's a lot more talk. There's a lot more thought about real estate here in this area because it's hot. It's a hot place.
Also, realtors, correct me if I'm mistaken. It's one of the amount of realtors per capita over here is one of the highest nationwide.
Yeah, that's true. And what I typically tell people is like, if you can compete as a real estate broker in this market, you can go other places and it's just a different world. The level of intensity and effort you have to put in to win here is different from some other places in the country. Yeah.
But the reward is also much higher over here.
Just asset values are just significantly higher, right? So you get a combination. We were touring property in the Carolinas with an investor, I don't know, a couple months ago, me and Jaron, and I was with a real estate broker who was running us around, and these properties we were looking at were like $100,000-$200,000, and here in South Florida, like it's rare we do $100,000 transaction. Usually it's like minimum in most cases. I mean, in the 250 range is like the minimum usually.
Condos.
Yeah, condos, small condos in unique spots, but most properties are above that. And I was just thinking about how many of those she needed to sell to hit my target here, and it was like 500 of those. You know what I mean? Like something crazy, some crazy number. I was just like, that doesn't work. Like you can't do the same amount of business, get the same amount of return by doing that, because you need so much more staff to manage 500 transactions in a year, right? It's a lot different. So
I always think that if I'm going to be a broker one day, it's probably going to be in a higher, like Florida, California. I don't know. It looks tough over there for me. With the average sale I think the average sale over there is like 150, 200,000. So
yeah. I mean,
over here, the average is more than $500,000. I get, or somewhere around it.
Yeah, you can dominate probably easier though over there if you take the tactics you use here in South Florida and just apply that same energy up there, you probably can take the upper end of the market there. But it's
let's do it.
But it's yeah, right. Let's go. Yeah. So I have so many other questions so let's like step back. So you started in 2017. You got your like first shot with a guy who had like 60 properties. And were you just wholesaling those? Is that what you were doing there? Or
yeah, at the beginning we kept actually from this bulk. Once we started to make money, we kept like 2 of them. There was actually a one strange scenario. So there was like a package we sold as a 4 package, and the buyer wanted to take only 3 out of the 4, and he was agreeing to pay for the 3 as much that we had the contract for the 4. So we kind of won the property for free. We were at the beginning, but then we flipped it and we made it a nice day. So then we said, okay, maybe it's actually a good idea to buy them sometimes ourselves and invest the time and money and flip it ourselves.
How many flips do you think you've done?
More than 100.
More than 100 flips. That's huge. How many wholesale deals do you think you've done?
500 will be a nice ballpark.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not playing around. And 500 since 2017-ish, right? So
I would say 19, 20, 21, 22, we're averaging more than 100 deals a year easily. If not, I would probably average 120, 130. Like 10 deals a month.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good ballpark. So only on those 4 years, we've done probably 500 deals. 23 is a different story. It's
sure. I want to touch on that too. I want to get your take on where it's headed, and I also want to hear your thoughts on like if you were to start over today, like and didn't have any experience, but maybe you had the experience, but you were like starting from scratch and you had to build the team out, and like what your thoughts are on can you do it? Would you do it? Like,
today,
yeah.
With the market climate today, or
market climate today, but you have all your knowledge. Do you think is it a good business to enter? Do you feel it's getting tougher, right?
I'm stepping aside a little bit. I'm keeping it. I also got the capital right now, so it changed the picture.
Sure.
Because I could close deals. But if I was a player that didn't have pockets that he can also close the deals, I would say I'm not sure it's the right time because it's hard. Yeah. Also, the buyer's market had calmed down like we discussed. And then the other thing is also the lead generation opportunities for a wholesale standpoint are reduced because national regulations. That's what I explained to you.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about the other day. So just the text message vertical that you were using just isn't anywhere near as effective. Are you using it at all anymore? Or?
I am.
Okay,
I am.
but you have very specific.
There's a lot of regulations. The volume, all the volume-based big wholesalers are not able to create the same amount of volume. So now it's a market that is shifting towards, like we just described, doing like 1 or 2 deals, but like killing it. So and then what happens? A lot of people are trying to get those home runs, like the multifamilies or the bigger spreads. Let's put it this way. It's just harder to get to the reach that we've done back in the days because the text message allowed us to text tens of thousands of people a day, and there's a country regulation. The carriers themselves, they're just blocking, and those days are done. Not only in our space.
Oh yeah, I have it. I have that issue, and I'm not even like blasting text messages like that, right? So I have a system set up where everything runs through our contact management platform, even my personal cell phone. Everything goes through, and so all the calls and text messages are tracked in the platform. So it logs, oh, you text messaged this person, you called this person, and so when we text message through that system, I might be sending, I don't know, an invite out to 20, 30 people, or trying to send out a new listing to a select group of people that I know would be interested in this specific listing. The carrier's blocking me sometimes by the time I get to like the 5th or 10th message, and then we have to start changing the message up. Yeah, it's really annoying. And even when I'm sending messages just to clients that are messaging me back and forth, I'll like copy something from like the broker on the other side of the transaction and try to paste it in to this. And so I'll paste it, and as soon as I do that, it blocks that too. And sometimes
it has AI, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He recognized that you do the copy paste.
Yeah, it sees everything. It sees everything. And so and sometimes it's like annoying because like I'm not blasting, but I kind of am, right? At some level it's like 20, 30 people, but yeah,
still you get blocked.
And still I get blocked. Mm-hmm. And I've gone through what you've gone through, which is like making sure all your phone systems are set up properly with the carriers and all the other stuff. So
you switch numbers. That's what we've done, but it doesn't help.
It still doesn't. Yeah, it still doesn't.
Because they're going to block the new number.
Yeah, yeah.
Then it's like.
So we have for our guy that dials neighborhoods, and basically around our listing to kind of invite people to the open houses and stuff. He has basically an unlimited amount of numbers he can use. And again, he's not using a special dialer or anything. He's calling through our CRM. Super simple. You hit the button, you dial, somebody answers, you talk to them or voicemail, you leave a voicemail, and then you hang up and you go to the next one. Not like this 3-line crazy dialer stuff. And he's getting blocked all the time. So we have to keep ditching numbers. And the funny thing is people on that platform that are like sharing, like, because they have a whole bunch of numbers. They have hundreds of thousands of numbers, I'm guessing, right? Yep. And there's other guys that are probably doing the same thing in that platform that are just like, so we're just trading spam blocked numbers back and forth. So we'll have to like trade out like 5 numbers, and we'll do that like 10, 15 times before we
Yeah.
get a clean one
Yeah.
that hasn't been like spam blocked or whatever.
Correct.
So yeah,
The numbers, like I said, I've switched probably thousands of times.
yeah, yeah.
And that's harder.
So they're really clamping down on
They're
that
fighting
too.
against it, and I
get
get
it.
it. You know, we're spamming. You know, it's not cool for people to get text messages. So
Yeah.
but it really affected our industry, I would say, because text messages was definitely the best KPI, I think, for most of the wholesalers.
Interesting.
The two other cheaper methods are, like I told you, is cold calling, and they cannot fight this as bad as they did with the text, so we're still doing this, and letters. So, and you see all those letters out there.
Yeah. How are you doing with the letters? Like, is that pretty effective? Are you doing that up in Cleveland area?
I am. I'm doing it. It's effective, but it's so hard to measure a KPI over there because the numbers are so small. You could dump, I don't know, 20 grand and then get 2 deals and make another and pay it back. And then sometimes you can drop 5 grand and make a deal of 20 grand, but you can drop 20 grand and make nothing. So it's really harder to measure it because the low volume. That's the thing. With text, it's really easy to measure. Like I send this amount of text, I got this amount of responses, I got this amount of contracts, I got this amount of, because with big numbers, it's very easy to predict. Just like I said, Houston versus Cleveland, I knew what's gonna happen every month, give or take. I knew that I'm gonna sell anywhere between 7 to 12 deals, and my average assignment's gonna be $12,000. With Houston, it was just like I can make 1 deal, I can make 0, I can make 3, and it could be like 50 grand, or it could be 2,000.
And so that works okay for like the individual wholesaler who's running around. Maybe he's dialing himself, maybe sending out some mailers. He's taking the calls, and he's got almost no overhead except for his marketing expense. And he can make 100 grand. He stacks that away. And then, if he makes another 100 grand next month, oh, great, he's feeling rich, but he's still got to save that. So, but to make good business decisions when you're running like an actual business, it's tough, right?
100%. Yep. I think you can make money starting out as a wholesale, but aiming to those fat, big operations like I had back in the days, it's tougher because it's just harder to create this mass amount of leads. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. We send out mailers in different formats, which maybe we should talk about some of these in a little bit here, but or offline and get into it. But
you're talking about letters or emails?
Letters, like hard print letters. Yeah. And so we send out like actual like postcards, like every realtor does, right? And that's more of like a branding exercise. And so like you probably don't have like this desire, or it's probably not helpful to brand your business, right? Like it doesn't matter if they know you, or does it? Or is it helpful?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's the thing.
Yeah, so for us as a real estate broker, it's like branding is kind of a big piece of this, right? Sure. It's like a huge piece actually, like being trustworthy and all that, and so that's important. But we also we send out a mix of like the branding stuff and then the handwritten letters where like that kind of have just a direct call to action.
Better, by the way?
I don't think any one thing works, right? It's like there's no
Was it the
magic
yellow postcards with the handwrite?
Yeah, so exactly. That's what I'll get into. I'll share my secrets with you later. But yes, so we do some of those tactics where it's like it's a little bit more like wholesale-ish, right? Like or investor focused, and then we combine it with the actual like postcards that are more branding, and that tends to have the combined effect of, oh, Larry sent this saying that he might have a buyer that's interested in the property. It looks handwritten, maybe, right?
Yep.
And I know Larry because I've been getting his mailer every month. Plus, Larry also has a door knocker or whatever. He does all these other things in the neighborhood, and I've seen his signs. So this I actually might call over any other guy who sent me one because I know Larry.
Yep.
And it's a direct CTA.
But with this strategy, and correct me if I'm mistaken, you really have to focus on specific neighborhoods. You can't go spread because the budgets will be crazy.
The budget would be insane to get like that kind of brand awareness.
Exactly.
In like, say you just say you wanted to be all of East Boca Raton, like you'd have to spend a crazy amount of money. The return would be there probably, but the amount of money you'd have to spend to get that done would be like insane. Like almost unachievable, right?
Yeah.
The amount of money you'd have to spend to do that.
Because you need like 4 or 5 letters each time and nice ones, and they need to know your face. They need to know Larry. That's
exactly. And then you got the combined effort of like, we're meeting some of these people in their habitat, in their neighborhood. So like we can't be in every neighborhood. We just don't have that kind of time to door knock it or speak to them or just be present and have signs in every neighborhood. It's just really hard. It's really hard to get there. Which is part of the benefit or the advantage of being a real estate broker. Because if there was that ability where like some big company could go in and just like do that, like
100%.
You wouldn't have the opportunity to be like a small local
real estate
shop.
in general, I think, is one of the less is more diverse. Like the money divides for more individuals.
It's hard to consolidate that. So many people try, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got all different.
Zillow.
Zillow tries, right? Everybody
they try to
tries.
buy all those properties without getting inside, and you have to get inside the property.
Yeah.
That's the secret. And AI cannot get inside the property. He can show you the roof, but you don't know what's going on inside and who's the tenant.